In this video demonstration, we're going to learn how to use ArcFM Advanced Labeling to label based on external data. Our goal is going to be to produce the labels that we currently see on the screen, where each service point shows the related customers at that particular service address. Let's go ahead and take a look at the label expression for the service point layer. So we're here on the ArcFM Advanced Labeling tab now. We are going to be labeling service points. We can work with external data and geodatabase relationship data in the same label expression. So labeling service points, we're going to get all of the related service address records. It's a one-to-many relationship there. And tip that over. And then you can see that we're going to be using the database labeler. So just like the relationship labeler was one of the tools in our label elements toolbox, we also have the database labeler available to us here. Now the database labeler allows us to provide a connection string to our external database. If you look at that connection string, your DBA can help you to create these strings. Basically, it provides the connection information necessary in order to be able to attach to the particular database. We also need to specify a few other properties. What is the primary key of the origin table? Well, the origin table is the service address. That's the geodatabase class that relates to service point. So that's the primary key there. And what table do we want to get in the RX customer database? We want to get the RX customer table in that database. Finally, we have to specify the foreign key on the RX customer table that actually contains the data that we're interested in matching up with the account ID from service address. And so we specify that in the drop down here. Now a little bit more about the label expression. If we tip over the RX customers database labeler, you can see that we have a conditional labeler in use here. If the critical status is 0, that means that our customers are not critical. If the critical status is 1, then we're going to be labeling on first name and last name. Those are fields derived from the external database, and this time we'll be using the custom font and color in red. That's why Yasmin Underhill actually appears in a red font here. Okay, I'll just choose OK to these dialogues. And the point I really want to drive home here is the relationships that we're dealing with. So I'll select this service point right here. And we can see that that service point is related to a service address record. And that geodatabase service address record has an account ID of 178105. Now that's where the geodatabase ends and the external database begins. Here's that external database right here. This happens to be Microsoft SQL Server, but you can use Oracle or even something like Microsoft Access as well. The highlighted record here happens to be Yasmin Underhill, and we can see that Yasmin Underhill does in fact have a critical status of 1. Now there's actually a lot of flexibility in this architecture. What we can do is we can change the data source, and just as an example of that, I'm going to go back into the label expression. Again, here's the database labeler, and currently the connection string is pointing at that SQL Server database that we just looked at, but I'm going to delete that, and I'm actually going to put in a different connection string that's going to point to a Microsoft Excel table, spreadsheet that I'll show you here in just a second. So we'll go ahead and click Apply here. Now I'm going to show you this kind of a small spreadsheet. This Excel spreadsheet actually has the same schema, if you will, of the data table that we just looked at, the last name and the first name. Notice the account ID 178105, that's what corresponded to Yasmin Underhill. I've actually changed the name here to Devin Teig in this particular case. So I'll minimize this. And now, when we refresh the data, we can see that Devin Teig is the customer at that address rather than Yasmin Underhill. So what we've seen here is that using the external database labeler, we can point to an external data source and make use of that data source just as if it was seamlessly connected to other object classes like service address within our geodatabase. We can attach to that data, and when we pan and zoom at runtime, we'll be able to label based on that external data.